Amanda Knox here exclusively on GMA for her first ever live interview. As you know, 6 years ago, she was a college student studying abroad in Italy. Her life changed forever when her roommate, Meredith Kerchers, was killed, and Amanda was first accused and convicted of the crime. She spent 4 years behind bars before an appeals court set her free. But just last month, she learned her ordeal is not over yet. Amanda's memoir, Waiting to Be Heard, was just released yesterday, and it's nice to have Amanda here with us live this morning. It's the morning after the interview that millions of people watched, and your book is out. I mean, how are you doing this morning?
I'm so grateful to be here. I'm so grateful to have this chance, and I really, really hope that people will read it, because I poured my heart into it, and I gave it everything I had.
It was very important to you to write it yourself, and I got an advance copy over the weekend. And to be honest, I thought, I'll just skim through it to be prepared for this interview, and I ended up reading it word for word. It's very thoughtful, very straightforward. You don't sugarcoat anything. You talk about using drugs. You talk about your sexual encounters. You said you were waiting to be heard. What is it that you wanted people to hear most from you?
Wow. I wanted people to know who I was, because I felt that I was lost in the middle of this storm, and I was taken over. And I wanted people to know precisely what it is I went through and precisely what I was thinking at every moment. And I wanted to give what I was able to get out of it to the people who read it. It was so important for me to be honest. There's no use to me writing this if I wasn't completely honest and completely bare. And I felt like I've been laid bare for so long that I'm only happy to give that and hopefully make a difference.
The reaction to the interview has been mixed. There's some people who did not know about the DNA evidence, that there was none there, and how you explained that.
Yeah.
And there were others that were your emotion or lack thereof. And you said it in the interview with Diane that no one knows until you're put in a situation, but people kind of think how they should act. How do you respond to that when there are some people that are just not going to be convinced?
Well, it's the greatest hurdle that I've had to come across in speaking to people and in defending myself, because until you're in a situation that is as incredibly surreal and overwhelming and tragic as I was in finding out that my friend was murdered and then being interrogated so aggressively and then being put through this huge trial, like, I had to learn how to deal with it as I went through it. I was 20. I was in this foreign country. I barely spoke the language, and my friend was murdered, and I had never in my life experienced anything similar. And I was clueless all the way through, and I just had to learn to survive.
What is your life like now? It's beautiful at the end of the book that you had a list of things that you wanted to do if you got out of jail, and things that you were going to do if you stayed in jail. So what is life like now for you?
Oh God, I'm so incredibly grateful for life right now. I'm close to my family. I have my own place. I have a wonderful boyfriend. I have wonderful friends. I go to school. I go to the grocery store. UW. Yeah. And I have great teachers, very sympathetic friends that I've met at the UW. I'm doing great. I really am, and it's incredible to feel that again, because I felt so stunted and so limited and so hated for so long, and it's nice not to have that all the time.
You mentioned your family. They're up in the green room.
They are
right now, and you became quite emotional when you were talking to Diane about your family and the guilt that you felt and for the sacrifice. They were there every single day, even if they couldn't see you. Looking at your life before and after this ordeal, how are you different? How are you the same?
One of the things that I I've struggled with the most when I came back was the fact that I wasn't the same person anymore. And I almost felt like I was disappointing my family because of how serious and I almost couldn't get out of my head when I first came home. That was the only thing that I had left in prison was my own mind, and that's where I hid myself, inside of myself. And I've slowly been coming out, which is great. I'm still the same person. I'm just a little more sober.
Well,
It's a little more somber.
Yeah, 4 years in jail will do that. Meredith Kercher, her family overnight released a statement, and they said they're not going to read the book, that they are waiting to be heard, and that their beloved Meredith is the victim. What do you say to the Kercher family this morning, Amanda?
Meredith Kercher is the victim. Meredith Kercher died, and her family deserves answers. The prosecution didn't give that to them. I still hope they'll read my book, because in it I talk about Meredith. I talk about the relationship I had with her. And that is the little amount that I can give them of her. But I also want them to be able to come away with my perspective, because if they're seeking answers, and they deserve to have answers, and I give it as every answer that I can in my book. It's the first way that I can reach out to them. And I really hope that we can connect one day.
I know you've been trying to. Amanda Knox, thank you.
Thank you
very
so
much for being
Thank you.
here and joining us. And you can read an excerpt of Amanda's book at goodmorningamerica.com on Yahoo, Waiting to Be Heard.